Welcome to Storytime at the Rubus, a weekly podcast where we talk about Bonnaroo Music and Arts Festival. I'm your host, Sharla.
And I'm Daniel, and Merry Christmas, everybody. I think this is going to be the last episode before Christmas. We are going to have something fun later for Christmas. I'll tell you about that later.
Woo! Season's greetings.
What's been going on for you, Charla?
Finals have finished, and I'm about to get a break off starting this week.
So are you actually going to have time off to hang out with me and me in Brooklyn?
Yeah, I'll be off until the beginning of the year.
I'm really looking forward to later this week because I told the two of you all I really wanted for Christmas is just to hang out, go out to eat, and have an evening at home to get lit and watch Die Hard and swap presents. Yeah.
You really wanted to watch Die Hard.
Die Hard?
Because it's the best Christmas movie.
Die Hard is not only a Christmas movie, it is the best Christmas movie. I will not hear anything that says otherwise.
Yeah. It's a really good one.
Also, I will go ahead and say that the Lord of the Rings trilogy is also a set of Christmas movies.
Oh, for sure.
There's a lot of other things. Last year we saw The Green Knight, which is totally a Christmas movie.
Duh.
Because the beginning takes place on Christmas Day, and then the ending takes place on Christmas Day. I don't think it's a spoiler to give away details of a 2,000-year-old legend, is it? No. But yeah, check that out if you haven't seen that movie. There's a early, weekly pick for you. Go check out The Green Knight. It is a very different kind of Christmas movie. But you've been doing well, Charla?
Yes, how about you?
Very good. Things have slowed down for me as well. I'm working throughout the holidays. I'm on call, but things are relatively slow, so I'm taking the time to slow down, working on some personal projects, and have some fun stuff coming up. We're going to be working with our group next week.
Yep.
We have a first group call with them.
GROOP.
Yes, that's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that. I do want to take a moment to shout out some of our listeners who are graduates. Well, not just listeners, but friends. Mm-hmm. We talked last week about Jo. She just had her graduation in Louisville the other day. I'm so proud of her. Mm-hmm. But also some other friends. Ryan, who many people know, who does Journeys with Ryan. He does all these travels and put it on Instagram and stuff. He graduated with his master's the other day, right? Over at the University of Alabama in Huntsville, where Charlotte works. Yeah. So shout out to Ryan. And we learned from Randy, who we mentioned last week, she got her what?
MBA.
Yeah, so proud of her. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Also, so y'all who are graduating, we are so proud of you.
Yes.
You did some awesome work. Please continue to kick tail in life. We're so proud of you. Yes. Keep at it. And those of you who haven't graduated yet, keep at it so we can mention you too. We're very proud of you guys. Yeah. So, for anyone who is listening to the recording of this, we're also recording this live. We're doing it on Twitter Spaces. And we're going to bring on some guests here in just a little bit. So we wanted to hear from them. We want to hear what they want to see on the lineup that's going to come out in a few weeks. We're going to talk with them about what kind of improvements they want to see and kind of what non-music events that they're looking forward to. So those listening live, we'll get to you here in just a few moments. First off, we have to get the fun business out of the way and talk rumors and do a little roundup of what's come around this past week, right?
We do.
Okay, where should we start? Should we start with the silly stuff that's maybe sort of possible, or the big rumors that's coming?
The big rumors. Let's do the big ones.
Well, big one.
Those out of the way.
The big one that has come around in the past day or two has been Kendrick Lamar.
Yes.
Which I think a lot of people were hoping might happen. Mm-hmm. That was in the air a little bit because he has a lot going on in the UK. But it's looking as if it's possible. There's a long story behind this, but basically, someone who has been pretty historically reliable, their name is Infinity Pass on Info, came out and pretty heavily hinted that he was going to be there. Now, a lot of people, us included, throw around the word confirmation. Nothing's really confirmed until the lineup is out.
Right, exactly. I don't count things until the lineup actually is posted on Bonnaroo.com.
Yeah.
From anybody.
Maybe that is highly suggested, but it isn't confirmed yet.
Right.
It's also tricky because Kendrick is going to be in the UK quite a bit. And one of the people that actually works with Bonnaroo kind of said something on Twitter replying to us, which didn't discount it entirely, but it kind of called it into question a little bit. You can have your opinions either way, but the Kendrick Lamar rumor is out there. We'll see.
No.
I would really love to see him.
Okay, I have a question for you, Daniel. So, Infinity Pass, and this is no disrespect to them or anything like that.
No, none whatsoever.
So what was up with the Drake thing, and how does that compare to the Kendrick Lamar thing?
I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people mentioned that.
Yeah, I've seen some other people question
Oh, gosh. Without getting too in the weeds about this, they were joking around about something and didn't notice that somebody made a giant trolling Russian nesting egg joking about Drake. And they came back later and apologized, saying like, oh, hey, I didn't notice this, my bad. So I feel like that's not that big of a deal as people might be suspecting.
I was super confused about it, to be honest.
InfoRoo is very confusing, let's be honest. And for those who don't know, InfoRoo is this long-running message board that has been going longer than any other Bonnaroo online platform for like more than 15 years, probably. And they like to joke around a lot. They like to give each other a hard time. So if you go snoop on that, a lot of stuff may not make sense to you. Just remember, they have a lot of inside jokes, and they mean well. They just come across a little strange sometimes, but they're good people.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They have been the source of a lot of this stuff in the past, like this time of the year when it's almost lineup release day.
Definitely. But I'll be honest, I've been on very, very, very old school forums, giving my age away a little bit there.
Well,
but
yeah.
and the format on InfoRoo can be a bit confusing.
It's very old school, yeah.
Yeah.
Message boards don't really exist anymore.
Not a ton of them.
Yeah.
No.
Speaking of social media, we'll talk more about that later.
Yeah.
I want to bring a couple of other things that popped up this past week. Another festival that got announced was the Peach Music Festival.
Yes, I
in
saw that.
Scranton, Pennsylvania, of all places. Yes. So they know where to get their paper over there. So this is more of a jam band festival, but it takes place later in June and into July. So it kind of gives us a window into maybe the kind of jam bands that we can expect. My Morning Jacket is there. So they do have some dates in Europe, but clearly now they're going to be back in the U.S. So that rumor is looking pretty strong. Goose, we aren't going to get them again 2 years in a row, I wouldn't imagine.
I couldn't see that without them having any significantly new,
Much to the disappointment of you and Carrie Yates. Two other ones that stood out to me that I think might be possible for Bonnaroo is Joe Russo's Almost Dead.
Yeah, I saw that.
They were there a couple of years ago. I think they would be very welcome.
I think so, yeah.
And also, Les Claypool has one of his mini bands, the Fearless Flying Frog Brigade. Did I say that right? Yes. He is a Bonnaroo veteran. He's been there many times. I think he may hold the record for the most appearances at Bonnaroo.
Is it?
It's him or Jim James. Or maybe another.
I don't know.
But it's on up there.
Somebody tell us. Somebody let us
somebody
know.
correct us and let us know. But he's on up there. It looks like there's a possibility that him and or one of his bands may be there. So that would be a lot of fun. I also see Magic City Hippies on there. A lot of people have been asking for them as well. But check that out. Peach Music Festival. Some of the names will probably overlap with us as well. All right. I'm going to work my way back in terms of feasibility here. Pond is one of my favorite bands. I feel like they're very possible. They got announced to open for the Pixies at a date or two. Okay. So they're going to be around in the U.S., which I'm not going to get too deep into this, but that also means that some of Tame Impala's crew and members are going to be around.
Okay.
Well, everybody's going to say, oh, did you know Tame Impala's only one guy? But no, there are actually guys in the band that also play in Pond, so it puts up the possibility. And here's something else that has come up. I don't really know how possible this is going to be, but do you know who has a date in early February at the Bridgestone Arena in Nashville?
Who?
Adam Sandler.
Oh, yeah.
And some people are starting to question if this is possible because Bonnaroo in recent years has started to get a comedy headliner instead of doing the old school comedy tent.
Who?
What?
Who are you talking about?
Adam Sandler might be coming.
No, I heard that part, but who's the recent comedy headliner, quote unquote?
Well, there was The Lonely Island. We saw them.
Oh, okay.
And then we were supposed to have gotten Tenacious D that one year that didn't happen. They would have, been a comedy headliner for sure. So Sandler? I mean, I see it as honestly a little unlikely, but man, that would be cool.
I don't see that happening.
You don't see it happening?
No.
Tell me why you don't see it happening.
Okay, I'm going to be very honest and transparent. And you can kick me off this podcast or whatever. I didn't know he even had music until you mentioned this earlier today.
Oh, he plays music.
I didn't know that.
Back in the Saturday Night Live days, he did
back in like the...
Yeah.
Okay.
The Hanukkah song and some other things.
I forgot about I forgot it. I forgot about all that. I'm sorry.
No, he's always had music as part of his act.
I forgot about all that.
In fact, I'm kind of thinking about going to that Bridgestone show. If he doesn't end up on the Bonnaroo lineup, I'm thinking about looking on StubHub and finding a cheap ticket at the last minute.
Okay, so that brings up the radius clause, but then that's usually only from like March to August.
The radius clause, I don't want to get too deep into this, but I wonder if it even really exists in the same form that people think that it does. I don't know. We don't know this. I'm going to ask the What Podcast to chime in on this. Barry usually listens to us, so I'm putting in the request now. Yeah. Barry, can you find out if the radius clause still exists and how much it's changed? I'm going to text him about this too. I want to hear about this on the What Podcast because that's more of their area.
I don't see Adam Sandler, so
I would love to.
Don't see it.
All right. You also wanted to talk about smaller names on the lineup that you think might be there.
Okay, so we've all discussed the headliners, I think, until we beat that horse to death. But
you're so violent.
We're not really discussing a lot about the smaller bands that could possibly be there. There was a thread on Reddit the other day about Paul McCartney, and someone came in and said, everybody out here asking about Sir Paul, but nobody asking about St. Paul.
The real question.
The real question, huh? And so I looked it up, and St. Paul is actually touring next summer. St. Paul and the Broken Bones. And they are actually touring next summer, and they had a gap in their tour schedule from starting the last week of May until the first week of July. And they are Bonnaroo veterans. They love Bonnaroo.
Oh, yeah. Paul is obsessed.
Paul is obsessed with Bonnaroo. Used to work Bonnaroo. So, I mean, I would pencil them in under possible. I mean, it's not out of the question. But what I really enjoy doing, just love doing, is looking up just bands like that are Bonnaroo veterans that love Bonnaroo. These one-off bands, and just seeing what their 2023 schedule looks like and seeing if it's possible for them to be there. So I just love doing stuff like that.
Well, do me a solid and check on Cherub, because Jason can't tell me that. Because I got plans for them if they're there.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other smaller names that you've seen?
That was the main one that I looked up.
Give us an update on your boys, Tyler Childers and Childers.
Well,
Tyler and Zach. How's it looking for them?
Well, Tyler Childers, wouldn't think he would be a smaller one, but Tyler Childers, I think he's pretty much a lock because his 2023 dates came out and he's heavily touring. He has no Tennessee dates whatsoever, just nothing in the radius at all. And he has a gap open for Bonnaroo weekend. I mean, it was like perfect timing up to Bonnaroo.
Yeah.
I mean, I think with the schedule that he came out with, if he's not at Bonnaroo, then something is up with the contract. I mean,
now what about Zach?
Pretty much a lock in there.
What about Zach Bryan?
So I thought Zach Bryan would be at Bonnaroo, but then I remembered, because of all the festivals he's on, I remembered he's playing that Rock the South festival, and that's actually in Coleman. And Coleman, Alabama is
kind of between here and Birmingham.
Yeah, so it's only an hour, well, maybe 2 hours away from Manchester.
But again, we don't know what the radius clause even is, if it even exists.
Right, exactly. And I looked it up, and it was 130 miles away from Manchester.
That's a very different audience, though. I mean, not to disparage it, but that is a very redneck festival.
A very different audience.
Yeah, so it may not matter.
Different.
Again, I'm going to shout out Barry because I know he's probably listening. Can you please tell us on the What Podcast, what the radius clause is these days?
Right.
Let's see if we can hear from him.
I'm just saying, I realized that he's playing that festival. And, really to be dreadfully honest, I don't think we would get both of the Railbird headliners like that. I don't think we would get both of them.
Well,
that would just seem kind of unusual.
We have just a couple of more weeks to find out, I suppose. All right. Should we get along to our other business?
Yes.
I did want to mention really quick, you probably have seen some of the stuff about Twitter in the news. Twitter seems to be the place where we can talk with everybody and hang out online the most. But it's becoming a little crazy and unstable there recently. So Sharla and I are investigating a couple other places where we can do stuff like that. I've started a Rebus account on Mastodon, and the festival suggested that we take a look at Hive. Did you say there was another one you were looking into?
Oh, well, I'm just saying a lot of people are now using Tumblr.
Wow.
I mean, apparently that's making a comeback.
Well, I mean, emo music made a comeback, so why not Tumblr too? I'm just saying. But anyways, take a look at that. I know a lot of people in the Roo community haven't necessarily taken a look at Mastodon or Hive or whatever. We're going to very, very, very slowly start migrating to stuff like that. We'll still be active on Twitter, but we're going to start doing some more stuff on Mastodon. It's a little bit more complicated than Twitter. There's a bit of a learning curve, but it's worth it because it isn't owned by a billionaire man baby. Anyway, on that note, can we go to our Patreons? you want to list off our names?
Sure.
I've got it pulled up here. While she's getting that, I will remind everybody that this is a Patreon that is mostly benefiting the Bonnaroo Works Fund, the wonderful charity arm of Bonnaroo. 80% of everything that we collect will go to them. We'll make a big donation right before Bonnaroo. And the remaining 20% will go to fund something fun at our Rubus party on Wednesday night. If you're a new listener, we'll tell you more about that in episodes to come. But our Patreons will decide how we'll blow that money. And here they are. Charlotte's going to tell you who they are.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
All right. We've got Dave Uniball, Amanda Snyder, Nick Weglia.
Yeah, you know him.
Maddie McCracken, Sean McCain, McFerg, Andrew Julian, John Howard, Captain Dan, Benjamin Wales, Ross McNamara, Kent Summers, Michael Roberts, Randy C., Joshua Winsel, Madison Cisco, Scott Hurst, Greg B., Eric and Ben Abel, Beyond the Hypnotic, that's Jace, Evan Brown, Jay Sanders, Chloe Hannon, and Sean McCarthy.
Thanks, everybody. Again, that is at, I almost said Rubus.com, Patreon.com/Rubus. I don't think we own that domain. Patreon.com/Rubus. Again, 80% goes to the Bonnaroo Works Fund. The remaining 20% will fund something crazy at the Rubus party that our Patreons will decide. All right, it looks like our first customer is Chelsea. Do you want to tell us about yourself and where you're from?
Yes, I am Chelsea, a.k.a. the Hygiene Queen on InfoRoo.
Hey, Chelsea, I see you everywhere these days.
Thank you. I try. Bonnaroo is really important to me, and as much time as I can spend obsessing about it, I will. And I am from South Carolina.
Where do you usually camp at Bonnaroo? Do you have a group or a particular place you go, or just wherever they put you in GA?
Okay, so my first year was GA. Last year was a little bit weird because a few days before I was getting ready to go, I found out I was going to be going solo. So I did a pre-pitch tent last minute. And then next year I'm going to be doing Moon Colony. Just to know that I'm going to be camped in a good space, guaranteed. It seemed worth it to me and the rest of my group,
So tell us, how was the pre-pitch tent last year? Because they're really going all in on that this year.
It's not my thing. I think it's really great for people who are flying in, people who are going solo, but I don't think I would recommend it for kind of someone who's driving, going with a group. Just kind of meant for like the right people, the right individuals, I would say. Is kind of my opinion.
Well, they told us that themselves out of Bonnaroo, that they kind of see it as a good option for people who are flying in or traveling from a long way. And we've told people like, hey, if you're within fair driving distance, it is a better option to just bring your own stuff, because it can get expensive pretty quick. But what are you going to have in the Moon Colony area?
Oh, so we are definitely an easy up kind of crew.
Oh, yeah.
I still always pack a tent with me just because in case of rain, you want to be prepared to have somewhere to sleep in the wet and put your stuff. So
it's funny. I think that most veterans are the ones who are like doing the easy up in a cot, like don't even bother with the tent. But you're right that you still need it just in case.
Yeah, I just think it's a good backup to have. I own one. Why not bring it with me?
So while we're talking about camp stuff, I'm going to ask you this. Do you ever do that infamous InfoRoo brunch?
So it was absolutely my intention to do so last year, which would have been my first go-round as being someone highly involved in InfoRoo, but everything kind of got out of whack for me. I think last minute going solo, like plans not being totally like prepared, I just kind of missed out on it, but it definitely is my intention to do so next year for sure.
Well, it is funny because like you can make all these plans before you go to Bonnaroo, but once you get there, everything can just get thrown up in the air like a deck of cards. You never quite know.
Oh, absolutely. And I tell people all the time, I was like, plan, but also be okay when your plan doesn't work out, go as planned. It's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know the deal. That's another thing where you can tell if somebody is a veteran. Like maybe they have stuff planned, but they're just going to be like, I'm down for whatever. We'll see what happens.
Yep.
All right. So Chelsea, hygiene queen. Can you tell us,
yes.
who do you most want to see on the lineup this coming year? What's on your wish list for the lineup we're going to get in a few weeks?
So I have been dying to see Humphrey McGee for forever.
You've never seen them?
And that definitely sounds like a very big possibility from everything I'm seeing. So fingers very crossed.
Somebody supposedly leaked that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you can't really tell what's really going to be there until we actually get a poster. But I believe that I saw that they might be there on Sunday. And it's been a few years, so it sounds right.
Yeah, I would absolutely love that. And then if we want to talk about like smaller people and not even necessarily on the lineup, but at the Grove last year, they had Yomi the Harpist.
Yes.
And I adore her, not just as an artist, but as an individual.
Mm-hmm.
She's so Bonnaroo. I would love to have her there and back.
That'd be cool.
Well, stuff that happens in the campgrounds, they seem to not have a problem with doing it year after year. We've had like House of Yes, our favorite, for many years in a row. So maybe some entertainment like that they would continue to do, again.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been asking for the therapy gecko to come back. I never...
Oh, yes. I've been seeing that as well.
I saw him roaming around, but I didn't get to go see him. I would like the chance to go visit.
Same.
So speaking of that kind of stuff, like, is there any other kind of non-music event that you would like to see in the campground or wherever else?
Okay, so my first years of Bonnaroo, I did not really venture out to doing things outside of kind of the music. So really this year, it's more about just kind of making a point to check those things out, but also kind of just stumble upon them. So I don't have anything too planned in my head. I wish we still had the comedy tent. I would love for that to still be a thing, because that would be my number one if that still existed.
The comedy tent, I miss it as well, but I had heard from some of the smaller stand-ups that it was kind of tricky for them. So I kind of understand both ways. Like, I wish it would come back too. But for somebody that isn't like a huge name, it was tricky because they had people coming in basically to chill out, like literally, because it was air conditioned. So they had a hard time getting people to cut up and laugh because they were just like dead and trying to like get cooled a little bit, So I'm understanding it. And I'm glad that they have kept comedy things around in different ways. Like Sharla was talking, like Sharla and I were talking, they've had comedy headliners and have tried different things in the campgrounds. But yeah, I miss that tent too. I understand both sides.
And I would argue that Mark Rebier is comedy and works on that.
Oh yeah.
From last year.
That was you at that show too? That was so much fun.
Oh yes, that was such a good time. And people asked me to describe one of his sets, and I'm like,
you can't.
I can't. You just have to experience, go, enjoy it. It's a great time.
I really wish that his deal with the small table out in front of the sign would have worked. It seemed like he had something really funny planned, but the AV didn't really work.
Yes, and I was actually just rewatching his set yesterday, so I remember that very well.
You thought this was a concert. All right, so Chelsea, what other kind of improvements would you like to see on the farm this coming year?
So I am very much a very positive person. I don't see a whole heck of a lot. There's always, improvements that can be made with like having flushable toilets working better, having more toilets is never a problem. More hydration stations is never a problem. Let's get those always. I did not participate in Jam Track last year just because of where I was located. I didn't need to, but of course I have heard about people's experience. So any improvements with that would be highly welcome.
Yep, we're totally agreed.
But really outside of more bathrooms, more hydration stations, improvements with Jam Track, and, the other things I would consider improvements are more things that they didn't have last year that we already know are coming back. So, like, your second entrance kind of deal.
Yes.
The balloons that have the pod or plaza numbers. I always forget which one it is now.
Well, I think we're going with plaza these days, but whatever. Everybody still knows the pods.
Yep.
Well, Chelsea, thank you so much for giving us a call. So everybody can find you as Hygiene Queen on InfoRoo and some other places too, right?
InfoRoo and Discord, and then I think I'm Festival Lady 90 on Reddit.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll watch out for you there too. Well, Chelsea, thanks so much. We'll talk to you before too long.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on.
See you soon. All right, we've got our next guest on. We've got Keith. What's going on, Keith?
How's it going, Daniel? Are you doing good?
Pretty good, better than I deserve. So, all right, we're getting a lot of new listeners these days. So, introduce yourself. Tell us who you are online, where people can catch you.
Well, disclaimer, my first name is Joseph, and my middle name is Keith. You know, I don't really have a lot of social media other than Facebook and Twitter and everything, but I've been talking to y'all through the camping with y'all, the camping group, or that new app. I think it's GroupMe or something.
Yeah, it is. It's Sharla's GroupMe. I remember you now because you have a different name on here. You confused me.
Yeah. So it's Joseph Keith, but yeah, basically I wanted to let y'all know that. But I'm from Springville, Alabama.
Oh, yes.
That's where I live.
Well, hey, you're just around the corner. So how many Bonnaroo's have you been to? Where do you usually camp at?
I started out in 2018. And that was my first year, and I did the Le Bon. You know, they had
fancy.
Yeah, it was all right. It was more of a gift, from my brother, a Christmas present, and so I really didn't get to choose. But it was decent, it was cool to get all the swag and keep my tent and everything like that. And basically, that was, and they gave me like a little lantern and everything like that. So it was really good.
I can see why they're using that as kind of a sales pitch this year, because that is a great setup for somebody that doesn't have a lot of that stuff already and like just doesn't want to bother with it. So by the time you get there, everything that you need is already there. I mean, it's not cheap, but for somebody where time is more important, I can totally understand.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what he paid for it, but it was close to Centeroo, and I like that and everything like that. And but, as far as, like, being able to have, like, air conditioning in your tent, it wasn't really the best tent ever, It wasn't like I think that year they actually had air-conditioned tents that were right next to it, and I was kind of jealous of those people.
When it's almost 100 degrees like it was the first couple of days last year, there's not a whole lot you can do. You're fighting a losing battle.
Yeah, I was totally bummed when September Roo didn't happen, and
man,
that would have been perfect weather. But yeah, it is blistering hot out there in the farm.
I hate to go back to these days that much, but there, of course, was a bad hurricane that kind of went over the farm and drenched it. But the couple of days afterwards, after it left, were absolutely beautiful. Yeah. It's a shame that we couldn't have been there for it, but there's nothing else we could have done, Whatever. So, all right, Joseph, tell us, who are you hoping that you're going to see on the lineup when it comes out here in a few weeks?
Well,
what's on your wish list?
I would honestly love to see the Rolling Stones.
Oh, my gosh. Dream big, buddy.
But I know that I think Camp was there in 22 CAAMP, and I didn't get to see him because I went to the Nora and Pure show. Mm-hmm. So, because I'm actually friends with her, because I met her at another festival.
That's cool.
Her name's Daniela, and she's a DJ. So, but if Camp would to come back, that would be an awesome show. But yeah, the Rolling Stones would be so awesome.
If they're going to get them, they got to do it sooner rather than later, because they've already lost 1/4 of them. I don't know. It's got to be an expensive booking, but they've got that Live Nation money, and they've booked, U2 and McCartney before, so it's not outside the realm of possibility.
Yeah, Stevie Nicks too. So, yeah, I mean, I was bouncing back and forth because I was like, the Eagles or the Rolling Stones. So, so I don't even know if the Eagles are touring anymore, but that would be too awesome.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. They are touring because they came up in conversation this past week as a possibility. Who knows, if there's anything to that. But do you feel like they would be a good fit at Bonnaroo, the Eagles?
I mean, I heard their live experience is pretty amazing. And, my dad loved them for years. And I think he had a whole video where I saw them live, and they sounded amazing. But
yeah, I feel like there would be a lot of dads coming if the Eagles played.
Right. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I enjoy kind of more of your jam band, different types of stuff like that, where, when I saw Bass Nectar, like it was like I was on a different planet because it was so loud, and I couldn't imagine like hearing Bass Nectar at the farm, because I mean the bass out there is like no other place I've ever experienced, and no other festival has the bass like out there. The farm, man, is sick.
Well, if you're into that, you got to go see Grizz. I kind of suspect they're going to give him a prime spot, and he's kind of taken Bass Nectar's slot in a lot of ways since he is no longer among us for good reason. So I think you would have a good time at that. You should go check out Grizz.
Yeah, I mean, I went to the Grizz show in 2018, but yeah, like I mean, I like bass and everything like that, Daniel, but like I'm a disabled veteran, so like sometimes I get anxiety.
I understand.
And, I was going to go back to that. I kind of was brainstorming when you were asking me about camping and everything like that. So, like, basically, Rue's gotten a lot better since I got accessible camping. And so, like, that's totally changed for me out there on the farm. And, yeah, so basically, I did, like, 3 deployments, and then decided when I got done from being in the military and the Army that I was going to go to every single festival I can.
Heck yeah, you earned it. Well, thank you for your service. I really appreciate you saying that. It is something that we need to consider. Like, well, you can probably speak to this way better than we can, but you always see those PSAs around the 4th of July to like ask people to be considered. I imagine it's something that you really got to put a lot of time into for somebody in that situation. Can you tell us about that? How can those of the veterans in the crowd who experience that kind of thing, how do you like work your way around that? How can everybody help?
I mean, the first year that I got access to it, it helped me a lot going into the lines. At the going into Center Rue, the lines were just giving me too much panic because there's so many people.
Oh yeah.
And so like that was kind of one of those things. And then the second year they gave a express kind of lane, and that helped out on the farm.
That's good.
And I really enjoyed that. And then it's just basically like that those 2 things I saw a lot of improvement on. And
good.
Also last year, I don't know if it's just because of the shortage of people, but the lines going actually into Bonnaroo while you're out in your car, that was a lot faster too. So I was like,
I noticed that. Yeah. Well, good deal.
So,
it's important to remember that those things aren't necessarily just like, nice things to have in terms of getting in and out quickly, but they're actually things that help in terms of people with accessibility needs. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, definitely. And, that kind of like leads into the other question you asked about like if I was to, improve anything at Bonnaroo. Not really, because I love it so much, but, and every experience has been great, kind of like what they say on the What podcast, never not great.
Never not great.
I would just, add like what they do in accessible camping is they give you like a combination lock, or it's either that or some type of lock on the actually porta-john. So you kind of like can go in that, and it's not overflowing, and you kind of have that experience.
That's nice.
Like, they could totally do that, I see, and just add it into your ticket price, and also a shower. But yeah, those would probably be the 2 improvements that I would would ask them to do, because I mean I feel like people would pay for that. You know?
Yeah, you're probably right. So what kind of non-music event, like for fun, would you like to see in the campground or otherwise in Centeroo?
I thought about this a lot, because I've been to everything out on the farm, like the parades and all that. But honestly, it'd be sleep. I'm gonna try this year not to go so hard, because I'm exhausted on Sunday, so
oh man,
I normally leave early, and I want to actually try all the way into Monday. So
I totally understand, because by the time we got to Stevie on Sunday night last year, she was singing me to sleep. Like, I was looking forward to seeing her, but I was so exhausted from the long week that I was like having a hard time keeping up, man.
Yeah, it's really rough there on Sunday if you go hard in the paint like I do. But
hey,
I
man,
missed the Lumineers, so I didn't get to see them, so I had to leave. And so I was really bummed because they did an amazing show. They had like a platform or something they got up on.
Yeah, we were there in the pit for that show.
Oh, wow.
It was wonderful.
Yeah.
The Lumineers are, for me and Sharla, kind of one of these bands that are hit or miss. Like, I love them to death. They're like 2 for 4 with their albums for me. I love their first one. It's dear to me. The second one wasn't so great. The third one was amazing. And the recent one wasn't that great. But their show at the last time that they were there was amazing. I loved it. That was like the perfect kind of Bonnaroo show to me. I know they get some flack sometimes, but I don't really know why. They kind of remind me of like a more mellow rock band, kind of like U2 or like Tom Petty or something like that. I wish they didn't get the flack that they did get. They're a great band.
Yeah. It's touch and go with them. Sometimes I like some of their songs, and sometimes, it's kind of just too melancholy for me.
It can be. I understand that. Well, Joseph, thank you so much for jumping on with us. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the group area if we can make it work out. I'll mention to you, for anybody else that's thinking about that, we are working hard on making sure that everybody has the space that they need, and that we're looking out for any other needs. So I'm hoping that we're going to see you there and have you at the party.
Quick question about that. Do
I
have
please.
to send you like $60 so I can camp over there as well?
Charlie can tell you. She's running it.
I got the accessible camping too, so I was just kind of curious.
Should be able to do the FIVO link. Let me send you the FIVO link, and you should be able to sign up with that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And that goes for
I really
anybody.
appreciate that.
Yeah. That goes for anybody that's thinking about joining our group. You got to go through FIVO to get your pass. That's right, Charlotte?
Uh-huh.
And then I'll mention this to you and everybody else since it came up. We're going to have our first group call here in just about a week if you're able to join us. And anybody else listening that's thinking about doing Group Rubus this coming year, we're going to start having planning calls once a month leading up to June. And probably when we get within a couple of months, we'll do it a little bit more frequently. We're going to have fun with that, so I hope we see you there.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I hope y'all have a wonderful night. Thanks for letting me call in.
Yeah, dude. Thank you so much for calling us. Again, thank you for your service. We'll see you soon.
All right. Peace.
Next up on Twitter Spaces, we've got who is known as Vivis on Twitter, but I believe this is Chris. How's it going, Chris?
It's going good. How you guys doing tonight?
Pretty good recording this. We just watched the Titans get beat. I was thinking they were going to come back and beat the Chargers, but that didn't happen. So tell us about yourself. Where are you from? Where have you camped at in the past?
Well, my name's Chris H. I'm from Evansville, Indiana. So southern Indiana, like right by the Kentucky border on the Ohio River. Takes us about 3.5 hours to get to the farm usually. It's me and my fiance Cheyenne Joy. That's her name. We've been to 2 roofs together, but total I've been to, this will be my 5th, and this will be her 6th. Last 2 times when we camped together, we were both at Pod 4 right by the House of Yes.
Oh, nice. You were right next to the good party.
Oh, yeah, like last year we were right there, like the first row behind the vendors on right by Pod 3.
Oh, heck. Well, I visited your neighborhood many times
like
then.
It was a party all night. It was hard to sleep.
Oh, yeah, I was down there many times, and we got something good to eat at those vendors right in front of you, so I probably walked right by you, didn't know it.
Oh, yeah, they had some really, there was this one place that had these, like, breakfast, like, arupa, what were they? Falafels. Man, they were to die for. Oh, man.
I think I had one of those.
Steak, egg, and cheese. And it hit the spot in the morning whenever you couldn't sleep because it was too hot.
Well, that's cool. And you guys are coming in as together again this year. Where are you going to be camping at?
We got, what was it, Mars? Moon Colony. So the former VIP.
Oh, nice.
We try it out, see what it's like with everything changing this year.
Yeah, I think you're going to be spoiled.
What's that?
I think you're going to be spoiled over there. That's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely going to be an upgrade because I've done GA every year. Before we got over by the House of Yes, my other 2 years, I was right by the Grove. And that was real fun. I was there for the secret set that Cage the Elephant did in 2017.
Oh, yeah.
And heard them going off, and I ran up there, and man, that was like one of my best memories.
I missed that, but Brooklyn was there. I hate that I did. That sounded like a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I really hope they're on the lineup this year. I know they've been kind of quiet, but I'm hopeful.
We'll see. We'll find out here in a few weeks. Well, speaking of that, who are you hoping that we see on the lineup here in a few weeks?
So I'm really hoping for Cage the Elephant. I wouldn't mind seeing Modest Mouse.
Ooh.
Portugal the Man would be really cool. Let's see. Who else would be really good?
You just mentioned a couple of names that not a lot of people are talking about, but I feel like are possible.
Oh yeah, like I've always like those are like my favorite type of music. Like they can get real heavy, but they're also real pretty and melodic, and that's my favorite type of music. Like Hippocampus has been rumored. I'm really into them. Really excited if we get Tame Impala. I know you guys have been talking about Tame Impala and Paul.
Possible.
I really love both of those guys.
You know, that Portugal the Man show you were talking about, it was either in 17 or 18. I can't remember right now. They played after U2. That was one of the best late night shows I have ever seen on the farm. That was just a barn burner. Were you at that one too?
Yeah, I was there, man. It was totally insane. I was beat by that point. It was tired. I think it was Saturday night.
Yeah.
And, oh, man, but it was such a party. I was pretty far back, I think, on the left side, but just inside the tent.
Oh, yeah. That was a wild night. I forget who was playing which at the same time. I want to say it was like Major Lazer or somebody like that. And the sound bleed was pretty bad because it was like a big EDM show. So if you weren't like right under the tent for that Portugal the Man show, it was kind of hard to hear because I was a little bit behind you and it was challenging, but man, it was fun.
Oh yeah. My fiance is giving me the evil eye because she missed 17 and Portugal the Man is her like all-time favorite band.
Oh, she done messed up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She's giving me the evil eye.
Yeah, well, you got to take her. If they come on tour around Indiana or Kentucky, you got to take her.
Oh yeah. We were gonna try to go. They were at the All In Festival in Indy, but like we just couldn't make it with work conflicts.
Yeah.
There were issues, but we really want to go see Portugal. I have to do that for her. She's never seen them live. I've seen them a couple times.
Yeah, me too. Me and Sharla seen them 2 or 3 times, and every time they just blow me away. They're one of my favorites too.
Oh yeah, and they've been releasing a couple new singles here recently, and I've heard talk about there's a new album on the way. So
I sure hope so. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time. That Woodstock album was incredible, and I can't wait for what's to come.
So what kind of other things do you want to see? What kind of improvements do you think are coming to the farm, or do you want to see? And what kind of like non-music stuff would you like to do?
I would really like to see some form of like a comedy tent or comedy acts. I know like that's been talked about a lot. I know we've gotten like The Lonely Island, and we're supposed to get Tenacious D, but I've really enjoyed comedy. My first year I saw Adam Devine at the comedy tent, and that was hilarious. But I think yeah, my second year they had taken it away by then because my first year was 16, and then in 17 it wasn't there anymore.
It's been a while. I do hope that they take it more seriously. Everybody is just kind of kicking around the idea of Adam Sandler. There's no real credibility to that rumor or anything, but it sure would be fun. Something else you just made me think of when it comes to like the old comedy tent. You know what I think would be fun is if they brought Conan O'Brien back and he did his podcast at Bonnaroo.
Yeah, because I remember he used to do the announcements on his show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
that was really fun, and I know his podcast is funny as well. I listen to it occasionally when I'm working.
Well, he did his show when he was between shows. He did his live show at Bonnaroo, and he did like kind of introductions for artists and stuff like that. And then, of course, he did the announcement on his old TBS show. It had already been leaked, but it was still funny to have Bonnaroo on his show. So he's got a relationship with him. It'd be fun to have that happen.
Oh yeah. I'd be down for any form of comedy. Like I love the comedy, the comic relief. It's fun to just go and laugh and relax a bit after you go hard all night and you're tired, and it's just something fun to do and not really exert a lot of energy while doing it.
Yeah. Having Sandler would be fun. They haven't had like a huge name ever since Chris Rock kind of opened for Metallica over 10 years ago.
Yeah, I forgot all about that. I forgot we had Chris Rock years and years ago.
They put him on the What stage, like for everybody to see him. I thought that was such a cool thing. Maybe they can bring that back with Sandler. That'd be fun.
Yes, Sandler's like, he's a legend. So any form of a show with him would have to be big. You'd have to accommodate for it.
I hope so.
Like everybody would want to see him.
Well, anything else you want to see at Rue? What other kind of improvements would you like to see, or other than comedy, anything else you want to see in the campground?
I'd really like to see Hamageddon back. I know we were
Yes. Chloe is pumping her fist right now.
Hamageddon was my favorite. I loved the bacon tasting.
Well, we made a deal. I was going to go down the water slide with her, and then we were going to get something over there, but they took it away, so I still need to do that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we still haven't rode the water slide. That's something we as veterans still have to do.
Okay.
We're try to do that this year.
Well, we finally did it, and it was totally worth it. How much did we pay to go down it twice, Charlotte? Do you remember?
It was only $5.
$5? Yeah, you got to go do it.
Yeah.
That's not bad at all.
No. You get to go down 2 or 3 times for $5. It's worth it.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, really?
Yeah, you guys hear her in the background?
Yes. Well, maybe we should all, like you and Chloe and Celia was there. Anybody else who wants to do it, maybe we can just do a big group meetup and go down the water slide one day.
Okay, I'm so down.
Deal. It's happening. Yep. It's happening.
Down.
All right, everybody's like you guys and whoever else wants to go.
That I wanted to talk about if we've got time for it.
Please, yes.
So the thing I'm most excited for this year is my fiance and I are trying to work out all the details, and we want to get married on the farm.
Oh snap! But yes, you should totally do it. Don't try, do.
Yes, we're gonna make it happen regardless. Like, we've already tried to get a hold of the House of Matrimony, but they're not releasing details for a while. My fiance actually messaged you guys about something, so that's something we can talk about privately.
Well, hey, we don't need to talk about it privately. Do you want to make it happen?
I am so down to make it happen.
Yes.
I would love to get married on the bus.
Well, if you want to do it, the venue is available to you, sir.
Oh, that is amazing. We are so down. We're like working out all the details and getting like the marriage license and stuff.
Okay, so I will tell you and anyone else who is thinking about also doing this, our advice. Get it done legally before you go to Bonnaroo, because there's a lot of different like state laws that can throw like a flaw in the slaw or whatever. But if you go ahead and get it done at the courthouse, then you ceremoniously have it done at Bonnaroo. That's the way to do it.
See, that's exactly how we were thinking about doing it, because we started dating at Bonnaroo 19 on the 13th. It was Thursday, and the 13th is the Tuesday, because we're coming in on Wednesday. So that Tuesday will be our anniversary. So we think we're going to get married here in Evansville on Tuesday, and then drive down
there you go.
to the farm, and then have a ceremony on whatever day works best.
Okay, let's talk more details offline. But yes, I want to help you.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I love you guys.
You too, man. Well, y'all too. All right, we got to talk. Yeah. So hit me up in the DMs. We'll see about all the details, anything. But I'm looking forward to this.
All right. I'll message you right after this.
Good deal.
Finish listening, obviously. I listen to your podcast all the time while I'm working.
Well, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Well, Michael, I appreciate not Michael. Michael's next, but Vivis, Chris, I really appreciate you calling in, and we got some work to do. We're gonna make this happen.
Awesome, you guys. Well, you guys have a wonderful night, and thanks for having me on. And I can't wait to see all of you beautiful Bonnaroovians in 6 months, 6.5.
Yeah, just about.
It's time.
All right, it is. All right, y'all have a good one. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
All right, everyone. Last but not least, we've got Michael on. Michael, tell us where everybody has found you online. Tell us where you're from.
So on Twitter, my handle's Lumera. I am from Iowa. It's very cold up here.
I know, that's what we've been hearing. I know of some other Bonnaroovians just down the road from you up there.
Oh yeah. Friends with the Ruhan guys as well as much other. But yeah.
Well, good deal. All right, so tell us where you usually camp at. How many Bonnaroos have you been to?
Jesus. So I've only done 2, really. I've tried to do, I guess, 4 with the 2 canceled ones.
Yeah, well, that counts. You're a Bonnaroovian.
Okay, so then 4. But 19 and 22. we are all over the place. We did group last year. Would love to go back. Don't know what that'll happen. We'll see. But
who was your group last time?
Awesome. We made one. Ruhan group. It was pretty sick. We had quite a few friends that decided to show up, so that was fun.
Okay, so what's your advice to us since we're starting a group for the first time this year? What worked well for you and what didn't?
So as someone who was the planner in that, I think having like one or like 2 to 3 people like taking charge of everything is just perfect, because dealing with a whole bunch of people, it's a lot easier to kind of like set rules and guidelines beforehand, and everyone just kind of follows. No one's stressed out about anything or that. Yeah. Other than that, over preparing is nice. That is good. But yeah, it's really just kind of like big GA camping, but you don't have to show up, at the same time, which is awesome.
Okay. Well, I may pick your brain about that later. We're starting to get some of our stuff together. I'd like to hear what worked for you guys. All right, so Mike,
sure, absolutely.
Tell us. Here's the magic question. Who are you hoping we see on the lineup here in a few weeks?
Okay. So, one very fun thing is one of the rumored, at least headliner or somewhat headliner, Paramore is one of my all-time favorite bands. So, if they show up on the lineup, I will be ecstatic. If not, it'll hurt a little bit, but it's fine.
So, have you seen them before?
Yes, I actually got to see them twice in October.
Oh, nice.
They had a huge headlining show in Kansas City, and then I ended up going to the When We Were Young festival.
How was that whole event? You're one of the few people that I've talked to that was actually there. What did you think about it?
So I went the third day with Jake from Ruhan. We decided to go. It was run really well. Like, obviously, online, on Twitter, TikTok, whatever, everyone was talking about how it's like, oh, it's a scam, it's a sham, they're just taking your money, it's going to be bad. It was very impressive, even from Live Nation standards, about how they kind of ran everything, how everything was kind of like put together. There was a lot of, obviously, installations. It's kind of the same with Bonner, with like the M&M's tent and the Toyota tent.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's just the way things are done now.
But no, it was run really well. AstroTurf is something I did not realize would be kind of a godsend.
Oh, yeah. So when I went to Shaky Knees about 3 or 4 years ago, it's on top of what's like soccer fields and baseball fields. So on the baseball field where Tame Impala was playing that night, they put a lot of that AstroTurf down. And I see what you're talking about, because that really helped. It was actually pretty comfy on your feet.
Right, absolutely. And you're standing there all day, because we got there like 10 or 11. We're there till about midnight. After a while, obviously that hurts.
Yeah. But you think it ran really pretty well. Really awesome. Like, as far as it being like a one-day event, you were pretty impressed?
For a one day, very impressed. I will say this, I'm very open about it. It's definitely one of those, it was a money grab by every sense of it, and probably
yeah. Well, I mean, all of these things are, if you really think about it.
Right. But no, for a one-day event, it kind of went as well as it could have, with really no actual issues, and I thought that would be the case. I was surprised that it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I am curious as far as like the lineup goes, if Monterey is going to look at the success of that event and book more bands of that type, like early 2000s rock, emo kind of bands. It seems very possible that they're going to have Paramore, and if they would do that, they would have some other bands to go along with them, it seems like.
Right, and like I was going to lead into this with kind of the other bands or artists I wanted to see, one of them being kind of a day to remember, just because like it seems like festivals are going in that direction, and Hangout was really shocking because Paramore was on there, obviously. It looked like a Hangout. But then, like, on the bottom line, you saw, like, the Main and Mayday Parade, and they don't ever get booked for festivals like that. So it's very interesting to see, is it going to be in the same line, kind of like how they booked All Time Low last year? And it's just like, I'm curious, happily curious.
Okay. Well, we've got just a couple of weeks to find out. One of my wish list bands, if we are going to get some stuff like that, is Thursday. I've mentioned this in the past, but they were one of my go-to bands back in the early 2000s. It was kind of like not really hard rock, but a little bit more emo for sure. Did you go see them at, when we were young?
Sorry, can you repeat which band? I think we cut out for a second.
Thursday is their name.
Oh, Thursday. Oh, I did not. I didn't have time.
Oh, I understand.
They were interesting for sure. But there was just obviously so much overlap with what I could see.
Yeah, that's the trick with a one-day event like that. I understand.
But no, they are super super interesting and super cool. I would be interested if Bonner went that way.
Seems very possible. We'll see. Are there any other improvements that you want to see this coming year, or any kind of non-music events that you'd like to see?
I mean, non-music events, because like Bonner does kind of the music part really well. But I mean, more. I think you alluded to it earlier in one of your earlier podcasts, but just kind of like the focus on more like community-led events that everyone wants.
Yeah.
To do. Like that, that's kind of the reason why I love going back to it. Like, obviously, there's music. It's a place for it. The idea that so many people, like us, throwing our emo night, and you guys constantly with your like Brewbus party, and the Red-A-Roo beer exchange, and like being able to do that is really cool. And I like the idea of putting more emphasis on that idea.
Yeah, I love that the Ruham guys had something going on last year too. I'm hoping they get a better time slot this year that doesn't conflict with a lot of stuff happening in Cinderoo. That's one of the tricks about putting on the fan run stuff is you don't want it to be overshadowed by like a big band playing in Cinderoo. That's why we like to try to have our stuff before even Cinderoo opens. So sometimes I feel like for the fan run stuff, maybe it takes a little guidance if they need support with it, but they've taken small steps by supporting Ruham and us and Red-A-Roo. I'd like to see them take some more with some other groups, but we'll see. I think that they are working on that kind of stuff. They've talked about that on the What podcast about how they want to be more community focused. I think they're on the way there. You can't do it all overnight.
Of course, absolutely. And I think that makes sense too. It's just a very fun thing to kind of like how someone I think in 2020 wanted to do the Bonner prom.
Yes!
I was actually very excited about that.
That's a great idea. See, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. I don't think anybody else would have thought about that except the girl that wanted to put that together. You never know where a great idea is going to come from.
Absolutely. You are completely right about that.
Yeah. Well, Mike, thanks so much for jumping on with us. And our regards and love to the Ruham guys. I can't wait to see them again.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. It's been fun.
Yeah, man. Have a good one. We'll see you soon.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in on the Twitter space. That was really cool.
Yeah, thank you to Ricky the cat who was meowing during the middle of that and wanting something.
Munching out over there.
He just really wanted on the podcast. But yes, thank you everyone who joined us. We will do more of those. In fact, I'm going to tell you right now, we are definitely going to do one of those pretty much immediately after the lineup comes out. Here, probably the second week of January. I'm sure they will make an announcement of the announcement before too long. So keep us in mind because pretty much right after they drop that, we're going to get on Twitter Spaces and get everyone's immediate reactions to the lineup and put that on the podcast as well. Mm-hmm. Charlotte.
What?
We're running a little late, but do you want to do a quick weekly pick?
Yes.
I did want to talk for a minute about Avatar, The Way of Water.
Okay.
Charlotte and I went to see it the other day, and I had to kind of twist her arm about this because I really loved the first one. I really wanted to see the second one, and I wanted to see it in 3D. Brooklyn told me, she's like, I don't know about that. 3D gives her a headache. So Charlotte actually went in with me to go see it. Before I say anything, did you come around on it? Did you like it?
Okay, I've never seen the first Avatar because I think movies like that are a joke because they spend so much money on them, and I really despise blockbuster movies.
Well, I hate to tell you, but that's most movies these days.
Well, that's not my type of movie. I like art films and things like that. So, you want to tell your...
Yeah, no, you tell me what you thought of it.
Okay, so I actually did not dislike it.
Oh, that's a big glowing review from Charlotte for a movie like this.
No, I actually enjoyed it.
Okay.
The 3D effects in it, though, if you're going to see it in 3D, I was very disappointed in the 3D. The 3D was nothing like what it could have been.
It was not as revolutionary as I had assumed it was going to be.
Yeah, the 3-day was just nothing.
There were some parts where it was like, whoa! But what disappointed me is when you see these giant landscapes of the planet of Pandora, it wasn't as impressive as I thought it might be. Still cool, but it wasn't as mind-blowing as some people would lead you to
Brooklyn
believe.
didn't want to watch it in 3D because she said, oh, it'll make me sick. There was only like one part where it would have made you sick if you're sensitive to motion sickness, in 3D.
Here's the other thing you should know about it. It is a long-ass movie. Not Pete Davidson's short-ass movie. It is a long-ass movie. So if you don't like sitting in the same place for almost 3.5 hours, it's probably better to wait until the summer when it comes out on like Apple streaming or a Blu-ray or whatever, so you can watch it over the course of 2 or 3 nights. But I will tell you, oh my gosh, I love that movie because it is one of these things where it is a big blockbuster action movie, but it has so many themes buried underneath it. The biggest theme, of course, is environmentalism.
Yeah.
I was afraid I wasn't going to say that word right, but I think you know what I mean. It's about conservation and kind of watching for your own planet and not being so industrialist and destroying it that way. Those are things I'm really big on. It doesn't beat you over the head with it either.
Right, yeah.
The first one probably spoke to that a little bit more than this one did. This one was more of like a family drama. And it wasn't a family movie in terms of like, oh, this is a cutesy Disney movie the whole family can enjoy. Like, no, it was about a family.
Right.
I really loved that. And it didn't pull its punches when it came to a lot of things either. I can't give any spoilers, but man, there's some parts that are really gut-wrenching. There was another cool theme that I've really been thinking on. This isn't really a spoiler, but there's a character in that movie called Spider. He's this kid that was born on Pandora, the alien planet, and he's human, but he doesn't care that he's human. He kind of identifies more with like the blue alien people more, and there's so much buried in that only scratches the surface of. I kind of suspect they're going to dig more into that in future sequels.
Oh, yeah.
But, oh man, that's such a fun movie. I'm glad that the world of Avatar is becoming one of these other big shared universes like Marvel or Star Wars or whatever. I can't wait to see the other ones that are going to be coming out pretty much every other year for forever now. I think they're already working on Avatar 4 and 5. Are you intimidated by that? You're like, no, you go have fun.
No,
But also, it isn't going to be one of those deals where like it comes out every year. So since it's every other year, you're not going to get tired of it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. But anyway, I loved it. I totally recommend it. Avatar: The Way of Water. It's so fun. But again, if you're not into long movies, just wait a couple months and watch it at home.
The length honestly didn't bother me.
It bothered me a little bit.
Because, well, when we went to the reclining theater and we took blankets.
Yeah, that was comfy.
Honestly, I did close my eyes for every now and then. Not because of the 3-day, just because I wanted to rest.
Yeah, I understand. All right. We're running a little over this week. I want to thank everyone who called in. There was a couple that we couldn't get to. We're going to do this again. I hope we can get to everyone. Future episodes. So we're coming up on Christmas. So there isn't really going to be a lot of news other than rumors and stuff up until we actually get the lineup. But we're going to do some fun stuff. So here in the next week or two, we were having our buddy Eric come back on. Some of you may remember he did a fun game show for us a couple of weeks before Bonnaroo back in May or June. We're going to do that again as a Christmas special. I have no idea what he has planned. I'm basically going to hand the reins to him for the episode and let him run his game. And also, I think the week before the lineup comes out, we're going to do a fun roundtable as a New Year's special. So we're going to get a lot of our friends who you've heard on this show in the past. I'll give you some names. I haven't even talked to them yet, but I don't think it's going to be too hard to twist the arm of somebody like Pondo or Chloe and some other characters like that to come onto the show just to hang out. Just not even have an agenda. Just see how we're doing, what we have planned for the year ahead, how this past year treated us, just anything like that. So we're going to talk with them soon too. So we're going to do some fun stuff between now and the lineup episode. But as you all know, the lineup episode is going to be the big one. We're going to have a lot planned for that. And again, please jump on our Twitter Spaces that will launch right after the lineup comes out. We're going to get a lot of voices on for that. Anything else for you this week, Sharla?
No.
Can't think of anything? You got any plugs?
Any plugs?
Yeah.
What do I need to plug?
I'm plugging it. Everybody come to the New Year's Eve thing.
Oh, yeah, plug that.
Yeah, New Year's Eve, Straight L if you're near Huntsville. It's going to be a rager. Me and 2 other DJs and some other fun stuff. I think Brooklyn will be a bit of a party host that she'll be working that night. So please come if you can. It's going to be a fun time. I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it. I put a hell of a lot of work into it, so we'll see. Yeah. Anything else from you, Charlotte?
No, you've asked that 97 times.
I know. I just like to include you. Y'all, we love you to death. This is the last episode before Christmas. We want you all to stay safe. Find a sober driver if you need to.
Please wear your seatbelt.
Please wear your seatbelt. Show love and appreciation to the people in your life. This has been a crazy couple of years. It finally feels like things are really starting to return to normal. This has been like the first time for a lot of people that there's been like big work Christmas parties and big like family get-togethers for Christmas. You know, for a while there, back in 2020, we were all yearning for this, where we actually did get back to big gatherings and stuff where we didn't have to really worry that much. Which, by the way, you should still take your vitamin C and stuff like that and use precautions. I mean, that's always the case anytime, this time of the year with the flu going around. But really relish this. Tell people that you care for them. Tell people that you love them. This shouldn't be a commercial time of the year where it's like, oh, I have to shop for so-and-so and buy all these things. No, the big thing is spending time with people. So please take your time and do that this Christmas. And we will see you after the break.
Have a fantastic day.
Yeah, Charles Day. Y'all get out there for Christmas and radiate positivity. We'll see you soon.
Bye.